between Malaysia and the UK. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says Malaysia aims to promote regional economic integration, particularly as ASEAN chair this year.
We were successful in entering into the CPTPP agreement, and it takes the serious political commitment on the part of the UK and Malaysia, focusing, of course, on economic fundamentals and the interests of both nations to promote free trade and investments.
Malaysia ratified the CPTPP in October 2024, joining Japan, Singapore, New Zealand, Vietnam, Peru, and Chile, while the UK formally joined last December. Under the framework, tariffs for products by member nations would be reduced to zero.
Malaysian conglomerates YTL Corp and Gamuda Berhad have announced a combined investments of 5.2 billion British pounds or 28.6 billion ringgit in property projects in the UK. This comes as Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim kicks off his 5-day working visit to the nation.
According to a UK government statement, YTL plans to invest £2 billion or 11 billion ringgit into its British businesses over the next 5 years. The Construction 2 utility group, which operates Wessex Water, has been the largest Malaysian investor in the UK since 2002. An additional £2 billion has been allocated for the Brabazon New Town in Bristol, which will include 6,500 homes, 3 schools, a 19,500 capacity arena, and conference spaces. Anwar officially launched the Brabazon housing and arena development on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Gamuda and its London-based joint venture partner, real estate investor Castleforge, broke ground for a £1.2 billion redevelopment project in England's capital. The firm owns 75% stake in the venture that will oversee the completion of 75 London Wall, a 14-storey building.
The US's possible restrictions on AI chip exports will not affect existing data centers in Malaysia. Deputy Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Liew Chun Tong says the government will adopt a wait-and-see approach to evaluate how the restrictions might influence future arrangements.
Liew said his ministry would engage internally with relevant stakeholders and the incoming US administration to understand the full extent of the regulation. The Biden administration recently announced tougher export restrictions on computer chips critical for AI development, known as graphics processing units, GPUs. Under the new rules, most countries, including Malaysia, would require a US government license to export more than 50,000 GPUs, except for 18 close allies of the US, including the UK, Australia, and Japan. Critics such as major tech giants Nvidia and Oracle have voiced concern over the move that could potentially slow down global AI progress.
The Attorney General's Chambers will move forward with its application for a gag order to bar public discussion relating to Datuk Seri Najib Razak's house arrest. AGC Civil Division Deputy Head Shamsul Hassan says they would not stop trying to obtain the court order until instructed otherwise. He said the application was made to protect the royal institution as the matter involves sensitive 3R issues involving the monarchy, religion and ethnicity. The High Court has directed the AGC to file their written application by January 20th. On Wednesday, Communications Minister Fahmi Fazil said the Cabinet neither discussed nor instructed the AGC to make the application. On January 6, the Court of Appeal granted the former Prime Minister permission to seek a judicial review regarding an addendum by the former Yang di-Pertuan Agong, allowing him to serve his remaining jail term under house arrest. Najib is serving prison time after being convicted of corruption linked to SRC International. Health Minister Datuk Seri Zulkifli Ahmad has clarified that the proposed new shift system, Waktu Bekerja Berlainan, set to be piloted in 7 hospitals, is still in the proposal phase. He stressed that the initiative is in its early stages and forms part of broader efforts to improve working conditions for healthcare workers.
Zulkifli said that the ministry would adopt a thorough engagement and evaluation process involving hospital specialists and department heads. WBB aims to cap shift hours to 18 for doctors and dentists at selected government healthcare facilities, down from the current 24 to 33 hours straight from on-call duties. The proposal was met with concerns by health groups, the Malaysian Medical Association, and Hartau Doctor Contract, warning that it could exacerbate the challenges faced by the overstretched public healthcare system.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education has assured that no cuts will be made to the early schooling aid distributed to primary and secondary students nationwide. Deputy Secretary General Dato' Ahmad Suhaimi Endut addressed concerns today in Kuantan, confirming that parents will receive the full amount of 150 ringgit to assist with school preparations.
He said the ministry has instructed that no deductions, including for Parent-Teacher Association (PTA) fees, are to be made. For 2025, over 5.2 million students nationwide will benefit from the program, with a total allocation of 791.25 million ringgit. The aid, introduced in 2012, has also been expanded to Form 6 students, benefiting 100,000 more this year. These students are expected to receive their aid beginning July 1st.
ASEAN Secretary-General Dr. Kau Kim Horn will lead the ASEAN Secretariat delegation to the first ASEAN Foreign Ministers Retreat in Langkawi on January 18th to 19th. The meeting will kick off discussions on Malaysia's ASEAN 2025 chairmanship priorities under the theme of inclusivity and sustainability and outline ASEAN's agenda for the year. Key topics will include the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, community building efforts, as well as regional and international issues. During his visit, Kau is also set to meet Laos Foreign Affairs Minister Tongsavan Phomviphan. Malaysia assumed the ASEAN 2025 chairmanship on January 1st, marking its fifth time leading the bloc since its establishment in 1967. Over 300 key meetings and programs are planned nationwide this year. We'll go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Rambut gugur lagi? Macam mana Gunakan Pantene Baharu dengan provitamin mikro yang meresap dan menguatkan rambut dari dalam. Rambut 10 kali lebih kuat terhadap rambut gugur. Pantene Baharu.
Kini tiba di kemuncaknya. Pemilihan idea produk inovasi terbaik semakin mencabar.
Para peserta baharu yang bakal menjadi usahawan inovatif.
Anda akan menjadi saksi. Which idea will win over the jury and the consumers?
Inovaton, merealisasikan impian anda.
Siapakah yang layak menjadi juara?
Inovaton akhir, Sabtu 9 malam di Astro dan Astro Go.
Kerap menggaru kulit kepala disebabkan kelumur, masalahnya lebih mendalam. Gunalah Head & Shoulders menembusi 5 lapisan untuk membasmi kelumur dan kegatalan. Bebas kelumur sehingga 100%. Head & Shoulders diuji secara dermatologi.
Welcome back. After 15 months of devastating war, Hamas and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire agreement to end the hostilities in Gaza and see the release of hostages captured by Hamas and Palestinian prisoners in Israel. The ceasefire agreement, mediated by Egypt, Qatar and the United States, is divided into 3 phases and is expected to come into force this Sunday. The first stage includes the release of hostages held by Hamas, focusing on women, the elderly and the sick in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israeli troops would withdraw from populated areas, allowing Palestinians to return home. Humanitarian aid would also increase, with hundreds of trucks entering Gaza daily. The second stage aims for a permanent end to the war. Negotiations, beginning by the 16th day of Phase 1, would work towards the release of all remaining hostages, including men, in exchange for more Palestinian prisoners. This phase also envisions a complete Israeli troop withdrawal. The final stage focuses on addressing the return of any remaining bodies and the reconstruction of Gaza, overseen by Egypt, Qatar and the UN, an effort that could take years. The ceasefire deal may be on the table, but whether it will take off remains unclear. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has hit pause on his cabinet's vote, citing last-minute disputes with Hamas. His office claims Hamas backed out of key parts of the agreement, but didn't elaborate on the specifics. Hamas, however, insists it's committed to the agreement, with senior leader Izzat al-Rashid backing the deal. Netanyahu is also facing pushback from within. Some of his hardline coalition partners call the ceasefire an act of surrender to Hamas, threatening to leave his government and potentially shake his hold on power. Behind the scenes, negotiators are working through the night to iron out the finer details, chief among them deciding which Palestinian prisoners will be released in exchange for hostages held in Gaza. And while parts of Gaza and Israel celebrated the announcement, violence hasn't stopped. Overnight Israeli airstrikes killed at least 70 Palestinians, according to health officials. The probability of a mega quake hitting Japan within the next 30 years has risen significantly. A government panel now estimates a 75% to 82% chance of it happening. Japan's Earthquake Research Committee had increased its previous estimate, which was between 74% and 81%. The potential quake is expected to occur along the Nankai Trough, an 800-kilometer undersea trench of Japan's Pacific coast. The area is where two tectonic plates are colliding, namely the Philippine Sea Plate and the continental plate beneath Japan. These plates would continue to press against each other, leading to a buildup of energy and potentially a massive earthquake. Experts say a mega quake in the region could reach magnitudes of 8 to 9, triggering massive tsunamis, causing billions of dollars in damage and leading to the loss of hundreds of thousands of lives. Such quakes have historically occurred along the Nankai Trough every 100 to 200 years, with the last one recorded in 1946. That wraps up AWANI tonight. Check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching and good night.